Okay, so when we're talking about bipolar, I think maybe for some of you, I'll explain this just a little bit. What happens in bipolar is you have these episodes of mania, and episodes can last as little as, a few hours, 24 hours, all the way to months sometimes. Most people usually have them, in my experience, and correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks. What I've heard from my clients is they're a week or two, and then symptoms start to subside, or they hit just this plateau and then they drop off into a deep, deep depression again. So what's tricky about bipolar is, first of all, medication, because someone will be depressed for a really long time and the medication that treats depression can make the mania worse. So if suddenly they jump up to mania, the medication can really be an issue for them if they're not medicated correctly for bipolar. And the opposite, treatment for mania can drop someone who's already dropping into a depression towards the end of their mania even lower, which can be really devastating, and that's when you hear about suicides happening and more serious consequences on that end. What's tricky about mania is, and again, when I do these videos, I'm severely oversimplifying, and obviously everyone's experience is very different. Essentially, you turn back into your teenager version of yourself. Your frontal cortex stops working. You have so much energy. You have trouble turning off and sleeping. So it's almost like you're on cocaine. You have all this energy and pent-up energy, or it's like you're on Adderall. Like you feel like you can run 1,000,000 miles. You lack the impulse control to say, this is probably not a good idea. And what's tricky is, especially after being in a state of depression for so long, it feels good. When people try to, rain on your parade, you don't want to hear it, because what you're thinking and feeling feels right and feels good, and it's such a relief. So what's very tricky is when you're in a state of mania, first of all, you can't always make very good decisions on your own behalf. And second of all, it really is such a powerful impact on the brain that because we can't rely on our impulse control, often we need other people's help to pull the reins back a little bit, because we can't do it for ourselves. It's kind of like when you've gotten really drunk one night and you do a bunch of embarrassing things that you vaguely remember, and then people are reminding you of what you've done, and it's, had you been in a better state of mind, you wouldn't have made those decisions for yourself and on your own behalf. And so sometimes it can feel embarrassing because you're not at your best state, and you do go through these ups and downs, so the emotional aspect of it is just exhausting. So what I usually do with my clients who experience these high highs and low lows is we create a safety plan. And safety plan, not like, necessarily that you're going to get physically hurt, even though some people do. So what we do is, first of all, we want to find out what happens for you in those episodes. What's happening for you that tends to be your pattern? What I notice is most people who end up in a manic episode, they start doing things. They either write excessively, or they stop going to work, or suddenly they're driving their car really fast, and they're sleeping around a lot, and they're calling people excessively. What types of things are you doing? What's happening? The second piece of it is, what are you needing? What are you needing during that time? First of all, medication adjustment usually, right? That you're needing something quick to help you with some of that impulse control and to slow you down a little bit. What kind of outlet are you needing? You're needing some form of an outlet, because if you're having sexual urges, or if you're having the need to go out and go shopping and go spending, instead of just saying, resist it, no, you can't do that thing, and you're just driving yourself up a wall, what can you do that would be healthy and appropriate as an outlet without doing it in a way that will hurt you? And then the third thing is, who can help me when I cannot help myself? Who do I not want involved, and who do I want involved? And then the last part is, of those people who are involved, what do I need them to do for me? What do I need from them that would be the most helpful? And sometimes, that for some of my clients, that's meant their brother comes and they fight them and do whatever it takes to get them in the car and get them to the psychiatrist or get them to the urgent care so they can get medicated. Sometimes that means their female partner may not feel like having a whole bunch of sex, but they say, watch some videos and here's this and here are these alternatives, and they encourage healthier behaviors instead of that person feeling like they need to outsource, if that makes sense. So finding kind of that safety plan. Of course, in the moment, it is too hard to come up with these safety plans. And so what's important is to develop some of these while you're feeling pretty stable and pretty well. So again, what happens? Let's just talk about it. What happens? What really happens? Let's not deny it. Let's not pretend it doesn't happen. What really happens? What am I needing in those moments? Who am I needing in those moments? What can they do to help me?